you can see everybody, you'll be ready.
Okay.
All right. Okay. It's ready.
Okay, but I still don't see everybody, but and I'm good with that. So I'd like to call the Village of Lincoln Heights Planning Commission meeting to order for Thursday. This is Wednesday, right?
Yes,
April
Wednesday.
21st, as opposed to Thursday. So that might be a part of the confusion. So the Village of Lincoln Heights Planning Commission meeting is called to order. And
Okay.
Miss, it's 7:01 according to the clock on my computers.
Mrs. Dolores Lindsay,
Yes,
Mr. David Mitchell, Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Morris Hodge. No response. Mr. Michael Harris. No response. Mr. Charles Shockley.
Yes.
All right, we have 3 who are present and 2 who are absent. We do have a quorum.
so the next order, well, before we go with the minutes and so forth, I'm sure that everyone received them because I know that Miss Randolph did deliver them personally. But I want to apologize for the mix-up. When we set the agenda together on or about April the 8th, at that time, I thought that Thursdays were off the were going to be good for me. But then I had signed up and paid for a class that I was given a call to say that it was going to go forward and I needed to be there. So I apologize for missing, kind of screwing up everyone's schedule and hope that we can get on target going forward. And if Wednesdays for the next till the end of May works for everyone, I appreciate your changing that. If it does not, then I would like to hear it and hear it today so that we can plan for the next meeting. And I'm good with someone else running the meeting because I do have to finish this course. And then the next item here is the minutes for April the 8th. All of you received the packet. Are there any questions, concerns, or are there any questions concerning the minutes?
I don't have any.
Okay. Hearing none, then I would call for a motion that the minutes be accepted as presented with corrections.
I can make a motion that the minutes be accepted with the necessary corrections.
Do you know who that voice is, Mrs. Randall?
Yes, ma'am. That was
Okay.
Mr. Shockley.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. All in favor?
We need a second, Madam Chair. We need.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Could I get a second? Thank you. Can I get a second?
Madam Chair, you can go ahead and second it.
I can second. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I will second the motion. All in favor, move. We say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next item. I guess the new business. I don't have anything sent to us on new business. So I think we can jump right into the old business, and that is a continual discussion of the Innovation Hub that was presented by the Lincoln Heights Movement. And that's the first part. So we all received information, and I just want to say to the members of the Lincoln Heights Movement, I do appreciate your providing us with the additional information that we requested. All of it was not here, but I think we should continue to move forward. Clearly, I think we asked for some financials, and you might wonder, why are we going that deep into this in this matter in the Planning Commission? I believe that if we are to make a decision, an informed decision to the council, we need to be armed with as much information as is possible. We owe it to the citizens of the village of Lincoln Heights. We owe it to the council so that they can make informed decisions as well. So I just want to note that and have it noted in the minutes. And maybe there is a reason why we didn't get any financials or any audits. Maybe council then will ask you for that information whenever it gets to them.
So
Any other, I'm sorry.
I would say, Ms. Lindsay, in terms of audit, we have yet to have a 990.
That's right.
This is our first year of operations.
That's right. Share that.
We do have visible on our website is some of the fundraising and pledges that we've received in regards to the Innovation Center in question.
Thank you. I forgot you did tell us that, and I neglected to go forward and look at it. I don't know if the rest of the committee did. Did anyone else on the committee look at the website?
Yeah, I did. Yes, ma'am.
And you are?
Mr. Shockley.
Shockley. Okay, so you reviewed it. Are you satisfied with what you saw? Are there questions that you want to ask the members?
I would actually like to look at it again, just
Okay.
so I can
Okay.
answer any questions that may be present already on the website.
Okay. So we'll put that forward.
Absolutely. And then we can, when it comes back up, I don't want to disrupt your flow. When it comes back up, we can talk a little more about our kind of development strategy and raising the rest of the funds.
Okay. So are there any questions or comments concerning the information sent to us, the reimagining of Lincoln Heights and both of these documents are reimagining of Lincoln Heights. Are there documents that are there any questions on these documents? Excuse me. Kenneth, I'm in a meeting. No, I'm good. Thank you. Bye. I don't know how to turn this phone off for ringing, but I won't answer it. So does any of the members have questions? Before I ask that question, I'm sorry, I neglected to say to Ms. Councilman, the chair of the Development Committee, Tanya Keys, I'm glad that you are present because I think this comes under your committee at some point. I think if this project goes forward, it is a development effort and a development process, a project. So therefore, it's good to have you part of listening to the discussions. Okay. Mr. Mitchell, did you have any questions regarding the information submitted?
No, ma'am.
Well, guys, I do. And again, I just want to do this for clarity. The document that is entitled An Initiative Developed by, both of these documents are entitled Reimagining Lincoln Heights. So the one that I am speaking to from at this point is entitled, it says an initiative developed and driven by the Lincoln Heights Movement, and it's a 501c3 organization. Are we on the same page with that? Do you know what I'm referring to? A brief history. There's a brief history of Lincoln Heights, et cetera.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to suggest, I think this is a pretty good overview of Lincoln Heights. One of the things I'd like to suggest, and I don't know if you can add this, but clearly Lincoln Heights produced a number of physicians and dentists and nurses and a slew of teachers and other engineers, et cetera. And maybe that should go in your historical overview. That the Lincoln Heights, before it merged with Princeton, did win several state championships. I think you have a reference here to the Tigers, but there doesn't appear to be any reference to the high school and the many awards and progress that it made during its existence. So you might want to research that and add that to your overview.
Right, duly noted. I can agree with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I can help you with information on the physicians because I'm doing a documentary on the healthcare piece, but the physician, dentists, and other nurses and so forth that Lincoln Heights did produce.
Nice.
The other question that I have in this same document, I believe, I at on almost every page at the top, you refer to volunteer opportunities. Is this requesting volunteers from the community or just the broader community to help you with this effort? Is that what this all means?
It's both. We've shared it.
Okay.
We've shared it inside and outside of the community. This presentation was originally structured for two entities, one being Leadership Cincinnati. So
Okay.
of the 54 members in this class this year, 45 of them selected Lincoln Heights as a place they wanted to serve. And also GE Aviation in their early career like employees network.
Okay.
5 ERGs or employee resource groups kind of coming together.
Okay.
Presentation to them as well about different opportunities and ways they can get engaged.
Okay.
And so just some of the work going on in Lincoln Heights.
Okay. And they are currently engaged with you?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing I would suggest is if that is happening on it, you might want to update again your presentation or add to it, because that would demonstrate to any prospective funder, or even if you have to leverage your donations with a bank, you can demonstrate that you've got wide scope community involvement. And when you talk about community, it's the broader community as well as the external community as well as the internal community. That would just be a recommendation. When you talk about the innovation hub, now I was confused. I thought this Howard and I don't know how to Kalia Daniels Innovation Hub was on Simmons Street?
Beale Street.
Beale Street. so what has confused me is that you speak about, and in the last presentation, there was a construction layout, for lack of a better term at this time, that reflected how you're going to renovate that space over there. But then this particular document shows on Lindy Street, the former elementary school. I guess that's, yeah, the former elementary school. I don't understand how it ties into what you, the Bill Street project.
It's the growth of the project, ma'am. So the Bill Street project is where we're starting.
Okay.
The Lindsay is where we're looking to grow to as we acquire access to that. And we've also noted that we're looking at another building, the building that sits off of the highway, the white building off of 75,
Right.
as a growth area as well. So
Right. That was
on Bill Street
okay.
was where we start because we already have access there. That's what we're looking to get zoning so that we can grow and open that up and provide those resources for the community.
Okay.
What we're looking at with the building that you just mentioned, that's where we grow so that we can expand our resources and services to the community.
Okay. All right. When you get to does the opportunity, it does appear that most of what I've seen in some of the pictures have been boys. Is this focused on boys or is it girls and boys activities?
It's focused on the community as a whole, ma'am.
Okay.
So boys, girls, young, seasoned, young professionals, we are providing a community resource. So as the community stands, that's what we're here to serve.
Okay. Okay, that is
I would say just for further clarification, when it comes to my brother's keeper, and my brother's keeper, Lincoln Heights, is focused on the development of Black and brown males. But we've, when I say we, talking about the Heights movement, we made the decision to anything that we create or solutions that we create for the young men, we want to have something in parallel for the young ladies.
okay.
Particularly, at least right now, through partnership with Ladies of Leadership.
Okay.
Organization.
All right. Now the second document, is it talks about economic development strategy presented by the Lincoln Heights movement. And then the first page says the resident empowerment program, and it has then at the top 52 residents paid living wage rate. What does that mean? I'm not sure that I'm clear about that. What does that mean? 52 residents?
That refers to those that we had hired and paid over the summer on projects that we were doing, whether it was the mural,
Okay.
whether it was cleanup or other things like that. And what we were saying was they weren't paid as volunteers, they were paid at living wage. So we weren't underpaying anyone. We were paying the rate that is stated, and we paid those individuals those monies, and we do have record of those payments.
Okay, so you paid them to do this work that's reflected in this page?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are these people that you think would continue to work for you when you get to the point where you have a full staff? Because at this point you do not have staff, correct? It's all volunteer.
At this point, we do not have staff. We are all a volunteer base. Everyone draws their income from something outside of this. The money that we bring in is strictly for the community. So
Okay.
as jobs come available and opportunities come available, we absolutely will look back to the community to see who's available and would desire to do the work.
And how do you recruit for those positions?
A lot of it has been through just literally putting the information out there via
Okay.
different methods. And as people respond, we equip them to be able to do the work and we move.
Okay. The next page, phase 1 to 3, it reflects then the Innovation Center. That's, I guess this is Beale Street. And then this Innovation Hub. So that's $800,000. So it's going, you have estimated this to be an $800,000 investment on Beale Street. Is that what I'm understanding?
When all of the things that we would like to put in place are done, that's what the total investment could look like. If we're able to do the additional space for the commercial kitchen, the space for training facilities, the space for gardening, all of the renovations that need to be done within, as well as programming, yes.
Okay, so it's both construction, renovation, and the operation.
Correct.
Okay. That wasn't clear to me. Maybe it's clear to others, but it wasn't clear to me. And the same then would be with the Innovation Hub at $2.5 million.
That is correct.
And that is the school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all elementary school.
The elementary school. Okay. So you would expand the services and the programming in that space.
Right. And we're not looking, when we do the expansion, our plan is not to close anything that we create. It's literally just to expand. So when we get the school and the operations rolling there, Beale Street would not close. That would still be available and programs would still be ran there. It would just be more programming and opportunity because we have bigger space to do it.
Okay. So the hub will not be in one space. It could be potentially spread in 3 different locations, correct?
The hub and the resources in the hub will be for the hub. The center will be a continuation. There may be additional resources that are there. What we want to make sure that you understand is we're not going to start one, close it, and move to the other.
Okay.
Our plan is to start one and grow so that we have multiple.
Okay.
And we very much so see, the program that we get opportunity to launch within the Innovation Center will serve kind of as gives us a means for incubation to test out programming, seeing what works, seeing how kids engage with it, seeing how we can strengthen out those programming. And when it's time to be moving into the hub, now we have a baseline to understand what works, what things kids are engaged with, and then what other services that we can provide and be more helpful for those who aren't in the developing stages, right? When we're talking about adults.
And then finally, you're looking at $30,000 budget operations and construction renovation for the property on Mangum. Is that what I'm seeing? Hello?
Now, you're talking about the
So I'm looking at this, since you can see.
phase 1 through 3, right?
Yeah, the number 3 is the property on Mangum. Is that the building you were referring to?
No, I'm sorry. Number 2, phase 2 was we estimated the 2.5 million to be the building on Mangum. And then we talked about
Okay.
through this work, as well as being able to create a community land trust, which is a vehicle that allows us to community land trusts historically have been leveraged, particularly in communities of color, to combat and stop, the potential of gentrification.
Okay,
Where everybody comes together, we lock up the land that we owned, and then, we make sure we just control the destiny of our community.
okay. So could you point me or us to the community land trust process? I'm just asking if you could give us, or me and any of the others who might want a website or something to understand what that all means, because I don't. And I would like to know. So if you would just give that to me for not at this time, but just communicate it to Miss Randolph so that she can send it out to us. I'd like to learn more about what you're trying to do, because I do think that you have some elements of the project would perhaps will be a value add to the community. I just like to learn more, so.
Absolutely. And when we talk about phase 3 and we're talking about something that's community wide, that would be something that very much so we would do or try to embark on upon with lock and step with the village of Lincoln Heights.
Okay,
That's not something that we would try to undertake on our own in any
I
way.
see. Okay,
For sure.
And I can follow up with the land trust search documents, and I can send that over to Ms. Randolph and Carlton at a later date.
because once again, I'm just calling upon my own experience, just for your information, is the more that people know about what it is you're attempting to do, the greater your opportunity of having success. And it's not only internal, but again, it's external. Because I learned a long time ago that you cannot get everything done that needs to be done internally. And I think you're seeing that, because you have to go out to get some of the resources that you need, whether they are financial or human resources, to help you establish what you need to do internally. So I want to suggest that you continue to try to educate in every turn that you make, so that you will get you get more participation and understanding.
Yeah, I think we're at phase 1 now, and as we have continued, and when we continue meetings later down the road, there'll be more detail in the future phases.
Okay.
I think we're just looking for phase 1 approvals.
And then finally, this one document here, could you explain that more? I think I understand it, but I'd like you to give me more information, or just explain the blocks, each of the blocks.
Yes, ma'am. So when we embarked on this conversation about the reimagination of Lincoln Heights, it's just a catchy name we came up with, but it was, we had connected with Joanne Sawyer, which she grew up in Mount Moriah Church,
Right.
but worked at GE. Excuse me, one more. Sorry, I'm dealing with a 2-year-old.
That's all right. You're dealing with life. We all been there.
Yes, sir.
Comes with the territory. So 2 years old, and I got a 1-month-old as well. And my oldest is 13 today, so I feel he's a teenager. So I feel a special kind of old right now.
Yes, sir. Congratulations.
But so the 4 pillars that we came up with, so I'm sorry, Joanne Sawyer. So again, she grew up in Mount Moriah, but she was worked at GE for 27 years, and she was also on the board for the Community Service Fund, which is run by GE employees. I met her while I was still at LHOI, and from there we had conversations about Lincoln Heights and that whole piece. But when with the murder of George Floyd, there was a lot of conversation going on in GE about them investing their time, talent, and dollars towards other communities. And Miss Joanne kind of jumped in and she was like, if you're gonna invest back in the communities, you're gonna start with Lincoln Heights first, right? And that's kind of where the conversation started. And as we were talking about just an analysis of what were some of the needs of the community, some of the things that we had learned from our door-to-door survey that we conducted. I believe it was 2018, somewhere 2018 that we did that. And just other insights that we learned from parents and youth and that whole piece. We came up with these 4 pillars, right? So beautification and social justice. So beautification work, which also includes, with the start for us, was the mural project, and putting the mural there on Stephens, but working with the facilities department and Ms. Powdrill on the block by block cleanup. So having GE volunteers come out for that on a weekly basis. That started a couple of weeks ago. I believe they're on Stephens Street this week. And then they'll be back in the garden. So we got the garden, and we have an MOU with Lincoln Heights CDC for the garden that's on Jackson Street. So getting that garden up, but then also the produce that we grow there, being able to put that in the corner stores, whether it's Fancy's, Our Corner, or Yallo's, so people have access to fresh produce right here within the community. And then still understanding and studying the impacts of the gun range. That's very much still a major part of our advocacy work and what we do. Particularly looking at behavioral mental health, but also understanding some of the environmental impacts, including testing, see if there's been any lead exposure. And then economic development, that's where the Innovation Center comes in. And then we talk about the skill sets and things that we want to develop. In terms of financial literacy development, I will highlight that, and this goes with the kind of the resident stipend program, particularly for the it's also for adults, partnering with Fifth Third as well as BB&T banks so that regardless of what you're paid to do your service, a portion of that needs to go into savings, and they participate in the Young Bankers program. So really, actualizing some of that financial literacy pieces. And there is a space specifically designated for financial literacy within the Innovation Center. Education and workforce development really falls, the majority of that work falls under the umbrella of My Brother's Keeper, Lincoln Heights, which became official through the endorsement of City Council in July of last year. And of course, like mentoring opportunities, but really developing a pipeline for kids to be able to access STEM careers, which, the jobs of the future. So how do we create intervention points for kids from before they're in school all the way into their career? And this also aligns with the 6 pillars of My Brother's Keeper. And within My Brother's Keeper as well, we're also charged with having a policy initiative. And the policy initiative for us is centered around juvenile justice. And then kind of simultaneously, 2 things happen. Hamilton County Sheriff's Office reached out to, I believe it was Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter, who then out to Councilman Daniels. to talk about the creation of a diversion program, but we were already in conversation with Judge Carrie Bloom and several others within the city. They have an unofficial juvenile justice court. There's only 3 of them that still remain. It used to be across the city in every community within the county, or in every community in the county. But the other remain are Madisonville, Avondale, and Price Hill. So talk about restoring that. And they're looking for county funds to help run and fund it. I know Madisonville has been operating for the last 14 years without any support from the county or the juvenile court system. So trying to make some changes there, but we want to make sure that within that program, as kids get in trouble, there's issues if they're arrested in the community first before they go down and they get a record. So us being that stopgap for them. So that's what that program is about. And then also just, clarifying any career opportunities. And we look to be working with Princeton in their work that they're doing around jobs and careers. And Councilwoman Key is going to be really, really important in doing that. And then the public health and wellness, we would love for there to be a community-wide health assessment. I haven't seen there hasn't been updated health stats that come out to be published since they were using 2014 data. So that was just something that we wanted to try to push for. Just improving outdoor spaces. So some of the philanthropic partners or even some of the corporate partners, how do we upgrade some of the parks that are outside, potentially adding some parks and just things for other kids to be able to do. I know that there was a plan already in terms of trying to make Lincoln Heights a more seamless walking community, particularly for seniors. So we want to just get behind that and support in any way that we can. If we can get a recreation center, that would be great. I was in the 7th grade when we lost the Y, and I remember what that did to generation of youth, right? And then we're always in support of Lincoln Heights Tigers. So we always support them in a myriad of ways. And the only thing missing from this document that we're actively working on is the 75th anniversary documentary, which we've done, I would say probably 50 to 60 interviews. And Steve, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And we look to have that done by the 75th anniversary as well. That way we can screen that later this year.
Does anybody else have, any of the other members have any questions? Because I do have a few on this document, but are there any other questions are there any other members who might have questions?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I just out of curiosity, the documentation that you presented to us, were there any additional documentation you presented to the people you're partnering with that we haven't received yet?
We can always share our project charters for each of the pillars. That way it'll give you, I guess, some just additional insight in terms of, I guess, the plan and how it was formulated to attack some of these key areas. I'm
sorry.
No.
Go on.
Yeah, we can. I think the project charters will be probably the thing that's most helpful in terms of if there's any documents you guys didn't receive.
So I think to me that question came, and I don't know who asked it because I can't see, but I think it goes back to my earlier statements about the more people are educated about your project, the greater the opportunity it is for it to be successful. So I know that this may appear that you're on trial, but you're not. It's, for me, it is trying to understand what it is you're attempting to do so that I can stand up for it or be against it. And I'm not going to be against anything that I don't understand, and I'm not going to stand for something that I don't understand as well. So the more you can share, the more you can help educate those of us on this committee, the greater your opportunity, I believe, is for your success. At the end of the day, I don't know how many residents may be looking and are attending this meeting, but there's an opportunity to educate those who might be participating remotely or virtually on this committee. So if
May I ask another question, ma'am?
and who is who?
This is Mr. Shockley.
Oh, okay, Mr. Shockley. Yes.
Also, I'd like to know if you have, you had mentioned in one of your presentations that you had used some of the other innovation hubs, and you were able to benchmark their progress and how they got started. Is it possible you could provide that information to us, locations, name of the organizations, and maybe even some of the data you have?
We can send over some information about the Carson Empowerment, which is very similar project that you can see kind of how those can be successful within a community and how that progress flows. We can definitely share that with you.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I understand under the beautification and social justice pillar, what is community benefit agreement?
So one of the big things that we're firm belief of in regards to the space as the gun range, is if that goes for, whether it is part of the Aero Hub development in phase 3 through Evendale, or the property is leveraged for something else, we just firmly believe that Lincoln Heights as the only community that hears the gunshots clearly, no matter where you live within the community, should benefit in some way from what's going to happen next, right? Not saying that we're going to fight to negotiate, like what are those terms, but we do believe that there needs to be a negotiation. And there's no way we can be harmed from something and we don't benefit from it in the next 50 to 75 years of operation, right? When it becomes an economic driver for surrounding communities. They benefited from the tax base, like while the gun range was there. They shouldn't be the sole beneficiaries for things moving forward. And we just believe that, and most importantly, if nothing else, and I've said this from the very beginning, and I've said this to council people and everyone, right? At bare minimum, I feel that Cincinnati Police Department should at least support youth for 18 years after the last gunshot is fired, right? If you're born, you come back from the hospital and you're in Lincoln Heights and you're a baby hearing gunshots, like they should care for the growth and development of, kids down to the babies. They didn't care any other time. They should definitely care even as they move it.
So when you say they benefited from the tax base, are you saying Cincinnati, Evendale?
No, Evendale.
Heights?
Evendale benefited from the tax base.
Oh, I see. Okay, I want to get into that. But the next question is under that same pillar. You do have behavioral and mental health impact study. Is there such a document, or are you saying that there should be one?
There should be
and
one.
This is all related to the gun, to the gun.
The gun range. Yes, ma'am.
Range. Okay, so this is related to the gun range. Because there are other behavioral and mental health issues that impact the general overall health of a human being, or of our residents as well. Those who live near the gun range and those who live down on Shepherd Lane, for an example, I'm just using that as a far distance. And so I would like to suggest that you consider adding a behavioral mental health, not so much an impact study, into that pillar as the health and wellness, just to think about it. It's your project, not mine. A community health assessment, you talk about that this data, the last data that you are aware of happened in 2014. Do you know who did that study?
Here, let me pull it up real quick. That was let's see here.
If you don't have it tonight, I would just like to know, and maybe we can talk about it offline. I think I do have some data that may be useful or have access, or I can send you to where to gather.
It was done by We Thrive and
Okay. Okay. That would have been the Hamilton County Health
Public
Department.
Health. Mhm.
Okay. I think I have that.
Right. It was published April of 2016.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And finally, I'm a little stuck, but I just need to say, and I hope that I'm not tarred and feathered about this, but there is a great deal throughout the community often about the support to the Lincoln Heights Tigers. And in my mind, that is typically just the boys' football team. And while I think our boys need football, I had 3 sons myself, and all 3 of them played football, and they all 3 played with the Tigers. Under the original coaches of Tigers who were friends of my husband. A couple of my boys played baseball under the Tigers, and again, some of those men were their friends. I think there really is very much emphasis on what do we do for girls' sports. So I think if you're talking about youth includes girls as well. And I
Yes,
just
it
like to suggest that you look at how that how you might improve that. I want to commend you also personally for your mentoring, what work you do with mentoring young Black men and boys in our community. Often many of them do not have a male figure in their home who is working to lead them to help improve their educational process, to give them as mentors and so forth. I really applaud you for that. But and that's needed in our community, not only in Lincoln Heights, but in the broader community, in order for the Black community to really survive and thrive. We need to strengthen our Black men, starting with the boys. And I applaud you for that. I think that I've asked all the questions that I know. Last time we talked about connecting your recreational activities with St. Monica's. And I don't know if you've thought any more about that, and we don't have to really discuss it tonight, but I just want to put that out there for you. I think that parenting, when you talk about reimagining Lincoln Heights and improving the life status of the youth and our community as whole, we do need to strengthen up the parenting in our community. And I think that that's worth including somehow in your overall strategy. I'm sure you have it in there, you might even think it, but I think that if it is clear, if it's drawn out, if it's as a kind of a separate entity within one of your pillars, again, demonstrates to the reader and to people you're trying to convince to help, one, you to make this happen, both physically and financially, you need to show or demonstrate the wholeness of the project. That's just my thought as one human being, one mother of both boys and girls, one grandmother of both boys and girls, and one auntie of both boys and girls. I think the wholeness is what appears to be missing from your youth activity. Not a criticism, just a suggestion. Are there any other questions that members of the committee have?
Yeah, just one additional question. I see you have a career pipeline development and STEAM pipeline development. With all the corporate partnerships that you've acquired, are they pledging at some point, once the youth are trained through your organization, are they pledging to bring them on as employees and then provide them with opportunities for growth throughout that company that they're employed with?
What
Oh no, go ahead, Steve.
what they are pledging to do is help us understand the skill sets they need in order for them to be employable by those companies. And they're looking to provide internships. That's what we'll develop, is what does an internship look like for those within that job set or skill set. And that is what we hope can lead to employment. But they're not saying, hey, if they go through our programs, we'll definitely give them jobs. That's not what they're saying. What they're saying is we'll definitely give them the skill sets that they need to be employable here. We'll provide mentors that can help them understand our company culture and the quality of life and the skill set that they need to be successful here. And as they go through and take on these opportunities, that increases their chance of being employees within these corporations.
Okay. So they're actually offering to train them, but not necessarily any employment opportunities.
It's not that they're saying there are no employment opportunities. What they're saying is that they're going to provide skill sets and pathways. They can't. I don't think that would be fair for any employer to say, hey, if you go to this program, we're going to hire you on the spot. It's not an internal program. We're an external organization to them. So it would not make sense for them to do that. What it would make sense, though, is for them to have an opportunity in impacting the training of their potential workforce and in being able to see them at a younger age with these internships so that they can get them prepared to be a successful employee within these organizations. So they're giving the tools and the opportunity. So if people take advantage of it, that will increase their opportunities of being able to work for these organizations.
Okay, yeah, because I was just curious as to, if they're investing their time and resources, what were they looking for as a return on their investment?
Oh, community engagement and future workforce. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what they're looking for their investment of time, talent, and treasure to be positively impacting the community. And then they're always looking for their workforce because they're not going anywhere. So they're always going to need employees. They're always going to need those that they can count on to continue to grow to the company. So that's what's in it for them. They're very clear about that.
Okay.
Very much so. And it was just, understanding the reality that, in terms of minority employees in the GE, they used to come from across the highway, right? And when we're talking about globalization and jobs going overseas, in terms of a lot of the manufacturing jobs, they didn't develop a system, right, that still was attached to careers that they have now, and many of which require a college degree and that whole piece, right? And GE, as well as Procter & Gamble and all the other Fortune 500s that are here, when it comes to minority talent, particularly in STEM, they spend astronomical sums of money to recruit people from around the country. So this becomes an opportunity for them to rebuild their farm system, so to speak. In terms of homegrown talent, how do you develop it, cultivate it from an early age, and then in the future, post-college, if you can hook them with their first internship, they stay with you, right? Gives them a better opportunity to recruit talent from right here.
Okay.
If I can just add, there is a gap in the workforce when it comes to manufacturing, 5-6 figure gap, and workforce development was shared with me, and it is a need for GE and other manufacturers in Georgetown and Louisville and other areas. So to have a diverse workforce pipeline is critical, and they see the need, they've acknowledged it, and believe that Lincoln Heights can be part of an answer to that gap that GE has. So just wanted to add, but not pile on. Thanks.
Are there any questions or comments from any of the members, other members of the committee?
One thing I would like to add is in the education and workforce development, since the driver's education program has been removed from the school system, we seem to have a problem with our young people going unlicensed, which in a lot of cases is the root of the negative contact that they have with law enforcement. So I was just wanting to suggest that if there was a way of putting in a program in the workforce and education and development that addresses making sure that our kids go through the driver's training system properly and get licensed at an age where they're embarking on a career.
So was that Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I would agree. So, go on.
And secondary, something to possibly consider is as far as trying to increase home ownership in the community, maybe a homeowners co-op that would link into the community beautification program. I know a lot of improvement is just cleaning. Fresh paint is probably one of the cheapest ways of improving the aesthetics of anything. And a lot of the paint companies do a reconstituted product program that you can, where they take older, out-of-date products and they blend it and strain it, and they offer it up at a reduced cost. And so maybe looking at a system to where you contribute a certain amount of man hours on someone else's property in the community, and then that brings the group around to making visual improvements on your property. You know, if you're a homeowner, possibly a property owner, which might include, you know, rental places even.
Mayor and or Ms. Tanya, do you have any questions or comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Mrs. Key. I don't have any questions or comments concerning the content that's being discussed today.
Okay.
But I would like to offer an invitation to the Planning Commission to, if you have the opportunity to attend the economic development meetings, if you get the opportunity, it's on the first Monday of every month. It is at 6:30. That way, you guys can get information about what the village's proposals and plans are moving forward with economic development in the community. And where you can have a full picture of what is planned and what is getting ready to occur, because we're going to be looking for your commission as well to work with us on other projects also.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I was going to basically say the same thing that Councilwoman Key said. Yes, we would love for you all, if you have free time, to come to the economic development meeting, because there are a lot of things that our village manager is working with our outside partners as well. And we don't want it to seem like overlapping. So it would serve you very well if you would tune in to the economic development meeting, so you can actually see what the village has proposed and what our 5-year plan is, as well as far as our economic development, streets, and education for the residents as well. And that's all I needed to say.
Thank you. So I have one final question to the Heights Movement. You
Yes, ma'am.
presented your project to us, and we've asked sufficient questions, and you've given answers and promised to provide additional information to help educate us as well. I want to know, I think the committee needs to know whether or not you have surveyed or contacted the residents on Beale Street, because as I drove around there to see what you were proposing, I know that it is in dead end street. The street is a dead end street. I suspect that there are issues or concerns, not so much concerns, that the residents may have, and they have the right to voice those. And so I would think that before we would recommend that this project go further, we would need to see evidence that you have gotten the residents of that community that you have engaged the community. So has that happened?
Yeah, so we've had conversations with a number of the residents, particularly in that section of Beals.
Okay.
The home that's next door also is within the Daniels family, and forgive me, I can't remember her name. But she no longer lives in that property. She's in a nursing facility right now. So so directly next door, there's no conflict there. And the house directly across the street, I know, is vacant. But I do know we've had conversations. Or when you mention evidence, like, what are you looking for specifically?
No, they're typically, when an organization wants to establish a project that is the zoning, it has to do with zoning. Is it zoned for what it is you are attempting to establish? And if it is so, do you have the residents support for it? And typically that is demonstrated by perhaps a survey. I can't remember how it's been done in the past. Can you share that with us, Mayor? Is there a formal form or document that needs to be presented to the our committee and or to the council that demonstrates that the residents of that in the area are in support of this activity happening in their backyard, so as to speak?
Madam Chair, so basically it's a public hearing that we have to hold.
Okay.
Along with, we have to notify the residents. I think it may be 500 feet away from the location. And basically it will allow the residents to come at the public hearing and speak.
Okay,
That's how we've done it. Actually, it will be a special permit that they're asking for.
a special, okay,
Yeah, because it is in residential, and that's what we basically had to do when we did the group home.
okay,
So, and that was one of the reasons why we had talked to Mr. Mercer as well. But it's a zoning permit, but it's going to be considered a special permit because it's asking to be zoned for something else than what it was normally. It was residential. And
right,
so the concern that you did give regarding, they're going to look at basically as far as parking and that street being a dead end, all that will play a part. But the residents will be allowed to come to a public hearing. We'll post that, and all this would need to be done before a recommendation voted upon to be come before council. All that needs to fall in place. I will be able to get with Ms. Randolph to get the information rolled out to the Heights Movement, Mr. Easley and Carlton and everyone, so they know. So you will be notified early enough, but we wasn't sure how much conversation you wanted to have before all this took place. So that's why we brought you both together to air out any questions that you may wanted to talk about, because when the residents do come, they will be asking the planning commission. Mr. Easley will be bringing you back for them to ask you questions, and for Mr. Collins. So that will have to take place as well. So it's up. I'm not sure how many meetings you want to have before that takes place, but we will let you all know a timeline, and we can get that out to you by Friday. Well, let's say Monday, because tomorrow is Thursday. And that way we can look at what has been done in the past.
Very much. That will definitely be helpful for us to see. Well, I also have a question is, would it be something that you would desire for us to have an open forum with the community? We would go ahead and get information out via flyer and our other means of communication, that we could set a date and time where we could hear directly from the community and speak to them about our plans and see.
That's basically what the public hearing is. I know you wanted to see about sending something before that.
Yep.
You can. I mean, hey, it's freedom of speech. I think the more the merrier. So that's a great idea if that's what you would choose to do. I would. That way, some people may not make it to the public hearing, and the more information that you can give the residents, the more support that you would possibly receive.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
so so I think we've done what we are required to do in the charter. I think we've asked the questions. We've gotten sufficient responses. We've asked for information. They have shared it with us and even directed us to their website and so forth. I think we're in a place where we can ask for a motion to send this to council with conditions. Is that appropriate, Mayor? Or do we need to have all our ducks in a row?
I would say have all your ducks in a row.
Okay.
If you want, because you're asking 7 individuals to say yay, nay.
Right.
And if something is off, they're gonna send it back to you. And we want to make sure that we're doing the compliance as far as what the charter asks us to do.
Right.
As far as relaying to the residents. So the public hearing is the best opportunity. And we will let you know by Monday what all needs to take place. But I do know we had to do that. I think it's like 500 feet, but I want to make sure. But we will be able to share that with you on Monday.
Okay.
And then we can go from there.
So you're saying that the public hearing needs to come before we make a recommendation to council?
Yes, ma'am. You need to hear from the residents.
Yeah, that's all right. That's the order. So to the Heights movement, you have heard the mayor's the process that we must now follow going forward in order to get you to in front of council. So she will provide us with the information, I guess by Friday or Monday, and we can determine what our next move would be. Is that where I think we're headed? Are you members in accordance with that moving forward? That would mean perhaps another meeting. Not perhaps, it will definitely mean another meeting after the public hearing. It would seem to me. I think that's what I'm hearing.
Okay, I mean, I'm just trying to, I want to make sure I clarify on next steps. So from a council perspective, conducting a public hearing around it, but part of that, and I guess this is to get done prior to the public hearing, is doing the community outreach, letting them know that the public hearing is going on, but also providing additional information about the Innovation Center and its operations, programs, and I guess kind of its goals. And then receiving that feedback within the public hearing, and then we have another conversation with planning and zoning for them to then make a recommendation to the council as a whole, and then the vote takes place from there.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, basically, yes, sir, because what it will entail is it's going to allow the Planning Commission to take those resident concerns, because it's going to allow them to ask questions and allow you also to ask questions, because the residents are going to ask yourself and the Planning Commission questions, and based on those minutes, it's going to allow a recommendation or no recommendation, but it's also going to allow council to know that we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's. We did everything we needed to do. Now they're ready, because once they send the recommendation, it's got to go to council. You want to make sure that you have that we've done everything that the charter has asked us to do. The residents have weighed in, and then and then we'll get where we need to be. That's why when you guys came before us, I knew it was going to be a change, just a timeline to it. But we'll get there. We will get there.
Other question, just that way we can make sure we're handling it to the letter as well. Is it possible that we could receive the charter?
Yeah, it's actually on American Legal Publishing. The charter's on there as well, but we can get your copy. But that's where you can get it off of there free. You can get that at your leisure. You just have to go in American Legal Publishing and look up Lincoln Heights, and our charter is on there.
And is that also has a zoning and planning commission?
It should talk about the zoning on there as well. But that's how the steps are to do what we need to make happen.
Okay, so in order to facilitate a timeline, maybe we need to, and I said a timeline for you, Lincoln Heights movement, to move forward with your plans. We need to kind of look at some dates, some timeframes here, because we're at the end of August. I'm sorry, the end of April, and we need to determine when the public hearing would take place, and then what steps you need to do prior to a public hearing and even during the public hearing.
Yeah, the public hearing it has to be put in the paper. We have to know, and it's like a 10-day period. That's why I was like, I would be able to give you more information how it's going to roll out. But if you want to try to do it in May, we can do that.
Well, we clearly don't want to rush it, but at the same time, I know that they are probably operating under a time frame as well, because you've got investors and or supporters out there, you need to at least keep them apprised of what's going on,
Mhm.
so that they remain supportive of the project.
Right, so that's why it's important that we do have it in May. You know, we don't want to miss the opportunity. So we'll look at Monday. I'll be able to tell you all, and then we want to consider possibly having it at the village or Zoom. It's just, you know, with everything lifting, but if we do that, we'll have to still do social distancing and limit, because we do have Mayor's Court there. So it just depends on what you all would like. And we do limit how many people are there, but
I'm ending the meeting.
so we'll have information. I'll have Ms. Randolph send you information. It'll be pertaining to dates for the public hearing. It will have information on there when the village will post it, because the village is the one that sends out the invite, to the residents, because we want to make sure we don't miss any residents in the span of what they're requested by law, that we have to notify them. So the village would do that. If you want to do anything additional, Mr. Collins or Mr. Easley, you can do that, but the village has to send out, notify the residents no matter what.
So, but in order for you to do it, to complete all of this in May, that means getting the council where you're meeting in May, the end of May.
Yeah, but it will probably, if it's gonna happen, it just depends on when you have your public hearing. It probably will fall in between the second and fourth meeting in May. Yeah, so we're gonna get it. We want to get it done in between those council meetings. So it probably will wind up falling the second meeting, which is the fourth Monday in May that we would. But you guys also have to do your recommendation too. So that means something needs to happen like every week if you want to have it finished by the end of May.
So when you send out stuff on next week, you will have some timeframes of the projected meeting final. See, the bottom line, I think, is the council meeting. Is we need to do what we need to do prior to it going to them.
Yes.
So if you give us the dates, the last dates, and when does council go on recess? Or
not till August.
Okay.
Yeah. So we want to try to get it, because we are in the middle of planning a tax budget. So we want to try to work it around there.
Okay.
Okay. So we will have this information for everyone Monday. I will have a couple of dates for you, and then you will let me know. Because we don't want to just throw a date out. So we'll probably do two dates.
Absolutely.
You let us know, do 2 dates. Let us know what date is good. And then that way we will know how long that we need to get it published. I'm not sure. It could be 10 days, but it depends on it depends on the public hearing, what it says, how long it has to be in the paper. But we do have to do a public hearing no matter what. And we have to inform the residents, and we have to post it.
So it could slip to June.
I think we can get a lot done in May.
Okay.
They may wind up not council may not vote on it till that first May, that first
Monday in June.
The second Monday at our first meeting in June.
First meeting in June.
Yeah, council may not get it to them, but at least you'll have your public hearing completed. Mailers will be done, went out to the residents, and they'll be able to come. And then that'll give you opportunity, if you have any questions, anything else for Mr. Collins, you'll also be able to talk about it again before they present it, because you have to do a recommendation in order for us to get it anyway.
Okay. Okay, so members of the Heights Committee, are you are understanding what the next steps are and what you must do in order to get to the goal here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right, to the members of the Planning Commission and council member. I'm an old lady and I've forgotten already. Mayor.
It already predicts the number stuff. Happy birthday come quick.
Okay.
I didn't know, are you talking about me, Miss Lizzie?
That's okay. I think
Okay,
that,
okay.
I think it's time to come to a close. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Lisa.
Yes.
Wanted clarification as to what, if anything, is going to be sent to me from the movement, the Heights movement, and can send it to you guys. What time frame are we talking about?
So
Or is that now null and void as far as the questions that you had and information that you requested to be sent to you, to the Planning Commission?
I think that the mayor said that she's going to have information to the committee by Monday.
No, ma'am, I was talking about the things that you asked of.
No, I'm trying to back up. So,
Okay.
So if that's the case of what we must do, then whatever we ask for them, and I can't remember because I didn't write it down. You
I
have,
had it written down.
okay. Whatever is asked, I think that they should get it to us as soon as possible. Like, if they have it readily available, it should be easy enough to send it to you, and then it can go out to the rest of us. In the meantime, the mayor and yourself, if I understand it correctly, will be looking at a timeline, preparing a timeline for the public hearing to council, and then we determine our next meeting date. Did I sufficiently confuse you? I didn't mean to.
Now, we should be able to have everything over by Friday. And just to clarify, there was information requested on community land trust, being able to send over the project charters for that we have benchmark info when we talk about Carson Empowerment, which was our benchmark for the development of the location. So those pieces we should be able to send over to you by Friday.
Thank you.
All minds clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you satisfied, Ms. Randolph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. May I call for a motion to adjourn?
I'm making a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
And that is Mr. Shockley
Yes, ma'am.
and Mr. Mitchell. Will you second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. The meeting then is so adjourned. Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Good night.
Good night.
So
Night.